Did you guys know that there is a pretty infamously haunted cave located in Tennessee that is said to house a very powerful spirit? Today we're going to talk all about it. Welcome to the legend of the Bell Witch of Tennessee. This story takes place in Adams, Tennessee, and we're going to get right into the beginning. We're going to be traveling back quite a bit at the beginning of this story to the year 1803 when John and Lucy Bell would acquire a plot of land in Adams, Tennessee. Now, when they first moved here, things were pretty normal and quiet, and they were pretty normal and quiet for over a decade. John and Lucy were able to build up a life on this plot of land and even build a family before things started going south. In the year 1817, little things would start happening around their house. Weird knocks on the walls, more weird knocks, weird scratching, more weird scratching. They were able to ignore it for the most part, but obviously it did not stop at just this little bit of activity. The family suffered in silence for a very long time, and when they did finally decide to tell someone, they had their neighbor come over to see if he could hear it. And of course, the neighbor heard it. Pretty soon, they would lose what they did not know at the time was a luxury of this thing only making sounds, and it would start doing things physically. It began to poke and prod at the family members. But it seems like whatever happened to all of the relatives, none got it worse than John and Lucy's daughter, Betsy. Let me just tell you a few things that Betsy had to endure. She would have her bed sheets ripped off of her at night and would be pinched to the point of being severely bruised. She would be scratched, clawed, and consistently poked at by something that she could not see. All of this escalated to cause severe injuries after a while. And a bit of a spoiler alert because we will be coming back to this, but this thing started talking after a while and it actually talked Betsy out of getting married. I got off track a bit. Let's go back to the neighbor being allowed inside their house to listen to these sounds. The family decided to get the word out on the things they were experiencing, and people started traveling far and wide to come to their home and experience this for themselves. Many people believe that all of this energy being fed to this thing is what eventually made it be able to speak, because you just had a lot of people coming in, being scared, and just feeding this thing. And it wasn't just speaking to Betsy. This thing would speak to anyone that would listen. Now, most people that heard it said it would just taunt Christianity and things of that nature, but Lucy heard something else. This voice told Lucy that it was going to take the life of her husband, John. The force soon revealed that its name was Kate, and when referring to the Bell Witch, some people do call her Kate, but mostly just refer to her as the Bell Witch. But just wanted you to know that she said her name was Kate in case you're researching and you see the word Kate and you're like, what is this? She did claim that she was the witch of a local woman named Kate. Around 3 years later, in 1820, in December, John would actually lose his life. Many people blame the Bell Witch for this. Why do they do that? Because she said she did it. And John did pass kind of mysteriously. And after John's passing is when the Bell Witch talked Betsy out of her engagement. See, we've come full circle. Now we're back. We're caught up. The Bell Witch then announced that she would be leaving for 7 years but vowed to return. So did she return? She did. She is believed to have presented herself to John and Lucy's son, John Jr., to speak of the past, present, and future. She left again after that and promised to return in 107 years. So that would have made her return happen in 1935, and there's really nothing documented on whether or not she did, so that's pretty up for interpretation. So, like many of these stories, there are a lot of skeptics who just do not believe that this happened. And the reasoning for that is they believe that the Bell family made it up to get money. My only problem with that is that it is said that the Bell family did not take money. Like when people visited their house, they didn't take money. So maybe like for fame or something, but I don't think they took money. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, I need to know exactly where this cave is so I can visit. They actually offer tours. I've planned every year for the past 5 years to go. I plan on doing it this year. Hopefully we'll get to, but always call first or look it up to make sure they're open. Sometimes their hours are different. I think when I looked it up the last time, they were only doing it on the weekends. I'm pretty sure they do it pretty consistently during Halloween time, but it never hurts to call to make sure. If you're gonna make that long trip, if you live far away, just make sure. Now, odds are if you have never heard this story before, you've heard the story before. A lot of things in pop culture reference this exact story, so let's get into it. The Blair Witch Project is loosely based on the Bell Witch of Tennessee story among some other stories. Now, I say loosely, I literally think they just took the concept of a witch in the woods because nothing about this movie is really similar to what happens in the Bell Witch of Tennessee story. But there is a movie that is pretty close to what this family experienced. An American Haunting is truly terrifying, and it's closer than the Blair Witch Project. But I recommend this movie if you haven't seen it. It's incredible. If you like a good haunted house movie, I'm actually pretty sure that Ghost Adventures did an episode on the Bell Witch of Tennessee as well, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. This is one of my favorite stories, and I hope you guys are terrified as much as I am anytime I research it, because it's scary.